People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, I'm all sure you've seen last night, Liverpool have done a complete U-turn on using the furlough system, forgive me for mispronunciation, that the government have introduced, in long story short, with the landscape of Corona, help making sure people get paid and people can feed their kids and feed their loved ones, sort of thing. There's been a lot of racket and a lot of noise, and I've made a lot of noise, and you lot have got a lot of opinions in relation to clubs exploiting that clubs that are worth a billion, spending how much multi-millions on agent fees and transfers, exploiting a government system just because it looks like a way to keep business. And I mean, from a business point of view, you can't not fault it, but business and morality rarely, you know, thingy. And Liverpool, quite rightly so, deserved all the heat they got. For a team that claims to never walk alone, sorry people, a very big community club, a team that, you know, you look at their supporters, very much working class, their players never forget that, and their players are very humble. You always see Sadio Mane pictures popping up at local mosques all over Liverpool and doing charity work. Jordan Henderson always doing stuff for his hometown of Sunderland, but also for Liverpool. And there's many other players doing things, and there's many other players at all clubs and clubs in general doing other things. But Liverpool, you know, it was disgraceful how they were doing that. And let's call a spade a spade. It's a small victory for the honest man and woman who couldn't have a voice, because Liverpool were more than happy to follow through with this. It's clearly public backlash that got them to think about this, and it's nice. That's the one thing about this Corona thing. We're all starting to stand up collectively against BS people that is happening, really and truly. Liverpool had to backtrack on this. It's absolutely disgraceful, especially in a season where prior to this, you know, they're going for their first title in 30 years. Supporting the players and Klopp are one thing, and they deserve all their praise because ultimately they're the ones out there. But what about the people that keep that club going? The people that flip them burgers, the people that clean them things, the people that turn off every light after the game, the people that cut all the grasses, the people that do all these other roles on a match day and all week in the build-up to matches that you don't know their names or hear about. People, they are the heartbeats of this football club. Even things like cleaners. You want to take it a bit extreme. These fancy guys at the top can be as great as they were. If cleaners did not clean that stadium, what's going to happen? Or they got cleaning services, what naturally would happen, people? It will get infested with rodents. Fans don't want to go there. It will probably get closed down. So you should respect everybody at all levels. So it's nice to see that, you know, people are protected. A statement was issued, and it's a bit of a lengthy one, and I've tried to chop it, people, but let's just read it and see what it's saying, people. And I believe it comes from a Mr. Peter Moore, who is their chief executive officer at Liverpool. He said, "Dear Liverpool supporters, first and foremost, on behalf of our ownership, Fenway Sports Group, we'd like to emphasise the thoughts and concerns of everyone are with those suffering from the dreadful COVID-19 pandemic and families affected. We would also like to recognise and pay tribute to the heroism of the incredible health service and key workers locally, nationally, and internationally. All other worries should be placed in that context first. Allowing for perspective, in these unprecedented and harrowing times, it is important to address an issue we, as an organisation, have been involved in since the weekend. We have consulted with a range of key stakeholders as part of the process aimed at achieving the best possible outcome for all concerned. A range of possible scenarios were considered, including, but not restricted to, applying to the Corona job retention scheme, which pays 80% of the salary and guaranteed a 20% payment according to the Corona job retention scheme, with a guarantee to reimburse monies received at a later date. And thirdly, finding an alternative means to cover our furloughing costs." And again, you can cover it. You just look. The problem is from this, you already get the vibe. You didn't think as humans first. You thought of a business. Don't get me wrong. You need to have your business caps on. Football clubs, small and medium companies in societies, we're about to face very uncertain times. There's even my local fishmonger. He said he might not even be open, paying when we come in and buy two little fish. Them, it's all fun and games. But he's got contracts with hotels and stuff. Obviously, if they're not buying fish because there might not be no rooms or whatever's happening, so they're not going to need to stock up on food, which naturally has a knock-on effect. So he might have to start doing things or getting rid of products, or might even have to cut staff. This is what happens in business. There's nothing wrong with that. Football clubs are the same. The issue is this isn't normal. This like I said, business and morality should go hands in hand, but typically it's one or the other. And Liverpool picked business first. Yes, you explored all of these things, but you didn't need to. You're a community club. You're actually one of the best community clubs that I've seen, to be fair with you. And this was a chance to remind people of that. Look, not to talk and do all this rivalry crap, but I can't have nothing but praise for Manchester United. Manchester United said from early, we're not doing this job retention scheme. We're looking after our own. That's another community club. And Man United and everyone connected, if you're ever watching this, big up yourselves. Liverpool, nice to see you've retracted, but this just tells me you didn't think about humans. You talk about a family club. Go on the BBC, there's a unnamed staff member, for obvious reasons. He said we don't feel like a family club. And how could you when things like this happen? Is what it is. And I know Rooney's a bit different, but Rooney comes from Liverpool, so I wonder how he would feel. And people like that come from these sort of things, people, and not just that, proper working class areas, especially the more up north you go. Because as a Londoner, I know poverty, I see it all the time, but I really feel it for, you know, people up north in Sunderland and you know, mad places like, I don't know, Carlisle, where, you know, it's not exactly London, or Blackpool, where, you know, the job prospects are slim. You know, we're not really doing mining and these things as a society anymore, so these people really need renovation. I feel it for them. Every penny matters. Pardon me. Going on to say, it is as a direct result of this extensive consultation and our own internal deliberations at various levels throughout the club that we have opted to find alternative means despite our eligibility to apply for the coronavirus job retention scheme. It's funny how they mentioned eligibility to kind of say, face, you are eligible, and it is a fact, you are. Let's be honest though, you be inflating the truth about all this deliberating and stuff. You probably did deliberate to go through it, to go with it, but there's got to be a PR person or somebody on this books that said, because you see it. There's actually special positions. I think City have one. There's people that deal with purely negative PR and how to spin it and how to do things. Surely these PR people have to have said to you lot, obviously from a moral and a business proposition point of view, we can see why they shouldn't do it and why it would have been nice to just sort these people out in the first instance. But surely someone in PR said, you know what, this isn't going to be taken down well with the fans, you know, for obvious reasons. Someone's got to have said that. You've obviously seen it and said, nah, it's cool. And you've probably underestimated the public backlash of this and maybe hoped other clubs would follow through with this thing. Yeah, it hasn't happened, so it looks a bit mad. So you're now saving face. Let's call a spade a spade. Like you felt wrong about it, and I don't know if the players might have even said something or let their feelings known at some level. But it takes big people to admit they're wrong. And while I think your reasons might not be sincere, I have to I applaud you, because you've come out and said, we believe we came to the wrong conclusion last week, which you did, to announce that we intended to apply to the government's corona retention scheme and furlough staff due to the suspension of the Premier League, and are truly sorry for that. Our intentions were and still are to ensure the entire workforce is given as much protection as possible from redundancy and or loss of earnings during this unprecedented period. We are therefore committed to finding alternative ways to operate while there are no football matches being played that ensures we are not applying for government relief scheme. We'd like to acknowledge the great army of staff and casual workers who work tirelessly to ensure Liverpool is a club that operates to the highest of levels. And, you know, that's one thing you should have remembered from the start. I've mentioned stadiums. What about the ground staff that have, the ground staff at training facilities that have all these things in place for these players to go and do their thing? Do you get it, people? Think about them more time. And let's be honest, the owners just thought of a way to save a buck. And it's not just Liverpool. You look at Spurs. We're going for Spurs. And you'd imagine with this now, the pressure is going to be on Spurs' owners and Levy a bit more. And I don't think they'll bow into it because, you know, they're notoriously not known for that. But it is what it is in that regards, people. He said, I don't think I've said this, but in the spirit of transparency, we must also be clear, despite the fact we were in a healthy position prior to this crisis, our revenues have been shut off, yet our outgoings remain. And again, from a business proposition, of course, if you're not bringing money in and money's going out, it doesn't sound good, but it is what it is. And like almost every sector of society, there's great uncertainty and concern over our present and future. Football club will be there, football will get back to normal, people will start spending money again. Even if the world goes through a recession, which it probably is, it already is, and will go through, people will still find money to go and sit down at games. So you're a bit inflating it. Tickets will still be sold. There might be, you know, some headwinds, but shirts will still be sold as well. football will still be in demand, because there's one thing we're not prepared to give up as a society regardless, and that's our football. And where one person sadly can't pay, there'll be 10 other people paying. It's like our Arsenal. If someone has to give up their season ticket, there's 100, 200 man probably fighting over that. But yeah, people, can't deny what he said. Moving on, there's some things there's no point reading, people. He said it is an unavoidable truth that several of these scenarios involve a massive downturn in revenue, with correspondingly unprecedented operating losses. Having these vital financial resources so profoundly impacted would obviously negatively affect our ability to operate as we previously have. We are engaged in the process of exploring all our avenues within our scope to limit the inevitable damage. We thank the many amazing people in our club at all levels who are committed to helping us do just that, despite the complexity and unpredictability in the world and our industry. Finally, he said, we'd also like to take the opportunity to thank those who have engaged with us in a productive fashion, none more so than our supporters, their representatives, particularly Spirit of Shankly, the Mayor of Liverpool, Joe Anderson, Metro Mayor Steve Rotherham, local MPs Dan Carden, and many other individuals with whom we've had much valued dialogue. So again, you've had local government pressures that this might not impact well in society, and you've got to remember, football might be getting away from the fans, but you've got to keep the fans. And I applaud you for coming out and saying sorry, essentially. But people, what I will say about football clubs in general, not just limited to Liverpool, is these things like this show exactly what football clubs generally think of us as people, generally what they think of us as football fans. Like I said, for me, it's a small victory for the honest man and woman that goes to work and has been going to work and just wants to feed their kids. We're still in uncertain times. So yeah, man, it's lovely to see that for them. But for now, there's nothing more for me to add. I'm going to keep it moving. Thank you for watching. Deluded, I'm out.